Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday, and welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro Forecast here live on YouTube in the Astro Room. I am your host and your favorite astrologer, Mel of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if this is our first time meeting, hello, how are you? Welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. So this channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you always be notified when I come out with new content. All right, my loves. So this is going to be the weekly Astro forecast for the week of July 3rd through July 9th, 2023. All right, so happy full moon in Capricorn. Today we have a powerful full moon in Capricorn, which I will explain all about in a little bit, but you know the deal. Announcements and housekeeping. So if you are joining me live, thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to say hello on your way in, and also don't forget to hit that like button as you enter the chat as well, please and thank you. And if you're watching this on the replay, thank you so much for tuning in as well. Hopefully you find this informative, enlightening. Maybe you get some confirmation. You know, these lives are meant to be a little more than just an astrology forecast. You know, I pull cards also towards the end of the broadcast to give us all messages from spirit. You know, I give a little manifestation information, some spirituality. These broadcasts are chock full of information. So hopefully you gain some value from that. And if you do, please hit that like button as well. All right. So let's see. We've got quite a few people in the chat already. First of all, thank you so much for accommodating this later time. All right. So I've got quite a bit of things going on. And so my evenings are kind of busy. So at first I was like, you know what? I will pre-record these, you know, because I don't want to leave you guys hanging. And, you know, then I'm upload them and then they'll premiere at the usual 7 p.m. on Mondays. But if I'm being honest, to pre-record these, edit them, and upload them is a lot of work. And because these tend to be like an hour and a half kind of deal, the upload time takes like 12 hours. So I'd have to do it like 2 days in advance. And then today it dawned on me. I'm like, why don't I just do it later in the evening? It might even be better for some people. So I don't know. Let me know if you like this time. You know, when things settle down in the next couple of weeks, hopefully I'll be able to go back to 7. But if this works for everybody, we could also do it at 9:30. It's whatever you guys want. You know, all of this is for you. So whatever time works best for everybody, that's when I'll do these lives. So just let me know. Either let me know in the comments or hit me up on Instagram. You know where to find me. So that being said, thank you so much for accommodating this later time. And thank you so much. I already see so many people in the chat. Good evening. All right. We've got Patricia Jean saying, welcome back, Mel. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be back. Yeah. So let's see. What else do we have going on as far as announcements? Trying to get back into a somewhat regular video uploading schedule. So apart from the lives, you know, before earlier in the year, I was doing a lot more scripted videos, a lot more uploaded videos on different astrological topics. And when I tell you, I've got like a laundry list of topics that I'm ready to do videos on, like I'm not kidding. So I'm looking forward to getting back into a regular schedule, probably either next month or probably once the summer is over. But in the meantime, I've got a lot of channeled messages lately. The work I've been doing on myself has been pretty deep, and Spirit has really been pushing me to give these channeled messages. And there's a lot of important things that Spirit wants to say. Thankfully, I'm so grateful that Spirit wants to kind of deliver them through me. So watch out for those, because I've got some powerful channeled message videos coming soon. All right. Let's see, what else do we have? I think that's pretty much it for announcements. All right. But if you are someone who is interested in your weekly horoscope, but you're not really finding this stuff online to be very, accurate or whatever, consider subscribing to my text service where you will get your horoscope every Monday morning. All right. And if you're interested, just text the word Zodiac to the number 855-826-5544. All right. That information will be in the description box below in case you didn't catch that. All right. And as always, if you are someone who is interested in astrology, maybe you just started studying astrology, or maybe you have absolutely no idea what's going on, but you want to know more, I've definitely got you covered. So I created this thing called the Astrology Basics Cheat Sheet, which is basically a quick summary of all of the things you need to know to start studying astrology, mainly the 4 pillars of astrology, which are the houses, the zodiac signs. What is it again? The planets, the houses, the zodiac signs, and the aspects. All right. So I created this 11-page PDF document, which gives you a quick summary of all of these so you can start committing them to memory and start studying, because regardless of what anyone says or doesn't say, astrology is definitely a science. And as any good science, it requires a good deal of study. So this cheat sheet is basically a way to get you started and a way to start committing these things to memory. So if you are interested, the link to that will be in the description box below. All you need to do is drop your email and you will be good to go. All right. All right. Oh, let's get into it, my loves. So we have a powerful full moon in Capricorn, right? And I don't know about you, but I've definitely been feeling the energy of this for the last couple of days. Capricorn energy, especially because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. It's a very unmistakable sort of energy signature. Saturn has a lot to do with karma, has a lot to do with life lessons. It has a lot to do with obstacles and challenges. So I don't know about you, but have you felt like the last couple of days you've sort of been maybe trying to get ahead, but feeling like you quite can't? Or maybe feeling like a little heavy, perhaps? That's definitely because Saturn is really doing its thing. Well, Saturn via Capricorn is really doing its thing with this full moon. All right. So on the flip side, for some, this may be a full moon that is very much marked by accomplishment, because Capricorn has a lot to do with success, has a lot to do with achieving things. And because it's at the full moon stage, this is when things come to fruition. So especially if you have put in the work before, and by work, I mean whatever you've been working toward, whether it's your job, your career, a project, yourself, weight loss, whatever it is, this full moon may find that you have reached the pinnacle, you've reached the culmination, whatever you've been working towards has reached its fruition. Now, in the people that I've been talking to and the things I've been seeing online, I don't necessarily get the case that that's for everybody, clearly, but I feel like for most of us, this is highlighting where we need to put in work. So for those who've been diligently working and now you get to pop the champagne and celebrate, congratulations. But for some, this full moon is showing you what you need to tweak or what you need to do more of, or maybe what you need to do less of, right? And it's not even in a way of like, okay, eat less or work out more or put in more hours or work overtime. Not even so much that. The way that Saturn is working with this full moon, I feel like it's this energy of this is what you need to do, but it's sort of in a life lesson sort of way. Maybe what you need to work on is something that you found difficult in the past or you've had issues with in the past. Maybe what you need to work on may feel a little triggering to you because it's bringing up old emotions. Regardless, I mean, Saturn is a planet of no nonsense. You usually don't hear Saturn and emotions together. However, because Capricorn is where this full moon is going down and the moon is all about emotions, you may find this full moon to be a little triggering. It may be showing you what you need to work on within yourself in order to have certain achievements, in order to get certain things, right? So it's almost like, I don't want to say being scolded by your father, because again, Saturn represents male figures. So there's sort of a fatherly sort of vibe to this full moon. So it's not like you're being scolded by your dad, but it's almost like your dad is sitting you down and having a stern conversation with you about what you need to change or what needs to be tweaked or what you need to work on. Okay. So some of us may feel that what's becoming enlightened to us with this full moon, it may feel a bit oppressive, right? Because if your father is like scolding you or having a stern talking to or talking to you in a stern sort of way, it kind of feels oppressive. It kind of feels like, oh, damn, I didn't do this right. Or, oh, here he goes again telling me what I'm not doing. And, it's that kind of vibe. But however, don't just look at it as I'm not doing this right or I need to do more of this. Understand that this is just part of the process, that whatever needs to be worked on, whatever needs to be tweaked is for an achievement, and an achievement that will be assured provided that you make those changes and provided that you do that work. You feel me? So it's not just, let's say it's a weight loss thing, right? And maybe you've lost some weight, but you're not on track to where you thought you would be at this time, right? And it's because, you've been dabbling in a little too much fried chicken, or maybe you've been skipping a lot of, your weight training days or your cardio days or whatever, right? And under this full moon, it's like you get on the scale and you're just like, damn, like I only lost half a pound this week. I was supposed to be like 30 pounds down and now I'm only like 10. You're like, okay, it's sort of like having that internal come to Jesus moment where you're like, all right, I have to be real with myself and I have to understand that, maybe I had too many cheat days. Maybe I didn't work out enough. Maybe I wasn't diligent in my workout schedule. I wasn't diligent with my nutrition, right? I feel like that is sort of the vibe that many of us are experiencing with this full moon. And while it may be sobering, and I use the word sobering intentionally because it's almost like it's knocking some reality into you, right? It's letting you know, listen, you thought you were doing this, but this is actually what's going on. And it's not to say that you have to be tied to the reality, but it's just sort of a reality check just to let you know, well, you thought you were going to be here, but you're actually here right now. And now that you're here, what are you going to do to get from here to there? Right? So again, it's really going to allow us to look at what we need to work on, and not just to be in the moment chastising ourselves like, oh, I didn't do this right, or I should have done this, I should have done that. No, it's like, listen, I have this goal in mind. I have this mountain I want to climb, this summit that I want to reach, this success that I want to attain. That's why I'm making these changes. That's why this full moon is showing me what I need to change. That's why I'm being a little hard on myself, not unduly hard, but I'm being hard on myself so that I can achieve this thing, right? At the end of the day, it's all about achievement, and it's all about working hard and diligently to reach that achievement, right? So this is where we're at right now. This is what we're working with. And it's a very the energy of this full moon, I find it to be very constructive because it's not only sort of giving you constructive criticism, it allows you to build upon whatever you've been doing or tweak whatever you've been doing in order to construct a plan, construct some sort of system by which you can achieve what it is that you want to achieve. And if you use it as such, the steps that you take now are undoubtedly going to result in some sort of success in the future. Now, here's the thing with Capricorn. Capricorn is not like Aries, like here, now, do it. Capricorn is like slow and steady wins the race. Diligence, climbing that mountain, one foot in front of the other. So whatever you're achieving you may not reach that finish line tomorrow. This may be something that's months in the making, or maybe even weeks, right? But the whole point is that you are diligent, you have some sort of system in place, and you just work at it. You keep one foot in front of the other, and you just make your way to that finish line. So that's pretty much what we're working with this full moon. All right. And other than that, this week is kind of quiet otherwise. However, we're going to have a unique opportunity to tap into our thoughts and our communication style. Because although we don't have much going on, all of the other aspects that are going on this week all involve Mercury. So whether it's your thought process, your inner conversation, the way that you talk to people, the way that you relate to people, the way that you learn, all of those things are going to be highlighted this week. Okay, so definitely keep that in mind. So without further ado, let's get into the highlights and the details for the week and see what we've got. So first up, we have what I like to call a successful conclusion. And this is that full moon in Capricorn. So it provides total illumination. So on the one hand, like I mentioned before, this may be a time where something comes to fruition, where you've reached the finish line. You can pop the champagne and celebrate because you've achieved something, probably something you've been working at for a while. Whereas on the other hand, like I just mentioned, this may be a time where you see and understand what work needs to be done in order to reach that finish line so you can pop that champagne, right? But either way, it's going to be total illumination, perhaps on things that, may not be that comfortable, but are ultimately for our highest good. Okay. Then we have what I like to call messages from above. And this is going to be the Mercury transits, what I was just talking about before. So Mercury is going to be making aspects to Neptune, Uranus, and Chiron. So apart from Chiron, Neptune and Uranus being those outer planets, this really has a lot to do with the universe. It has a lot to do with our spirituality. It has a lot to do with, a higher power, basically. So this may be a week where you have a lot of intuitive activity, where you are dreaming more, imagining more, where you may be able to see the bigger picture, and where you may be receiving a lot of messages, whether it's through your dreams, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through, downloads and things like that. So I feel like it's a week that you're going to definitely need to listen more and perhaps talk a little less. All right. And then finally, we have what I like to call winding down. So because we've got the full moon today, that means for the rest of the week, the moon is going to be waning. And whenever the moon is waning, this is when we get rid of what we no longer need. All right. So the moon's going to be waning first in Aquarius. So this is about letting go of things so that we can think of a master plan for the future. This is like making space for things for the future, especially in our minds. Then with the waning moon in Pisces, this is going to be removing things that we no longer need so that we have room for spirit, so that we have room for God, so that we have room for the universe to co-create with us. Okay. Then we have the waning moon in Aries. And this is about letting go of things so that you can take action, right? It's almost like if you've been walking around with a backpack full of bricks, the waning moon in Aries is like, take that shit off so you can start running. All right. So regardless, everything this week is about letting go in terms of our emotions, right? Because we're talking about the moon. All right. So let's get into the week and see exactly what we've got going on. So today we've got that full moon in Capricorn. And then tomorrow we have the moon moving into Aquarius. Thereafter on Thursday, we've got Mercury square Chiron and the moon moving into Pisces. Then on Friday, we've got Mercury sextile Uranus, which is always fun and exciting. Then on Saturday, we have the moon moving into Aries, and we close out the week on Sunday with Mercury trine Neptune. All right. So without further ado, let's get into the week. All right, my loves. So, like I mentioned before, today we have the full moon in Capricorn. It really happened at 7:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we're sort of past it at this point in time. However, it happened at 11 degrees Capricorn, okay? And so if you watched my monthly astro forecast, which I uploaded the other day, I spoke a lot about the number 2 being the numerology of this particular full moon. And it's interesting because, the number 2 signifies partnership. It signifies cooperation. Now, remember, I was just saying that this full moon is kind of like your father sitting down with you or an older male figure sitting down with you and sort of giving you a stern talking to about what you need to change. That's sort of the partnership in this. And at the time that I did the monthly astro forecast, I talked a lot about, whoa, sorry, that just flew out of my head. Talking about partnerships, talking about stern talking to. Oh, sorry, I just had to jog my own memory. There's also this element of mentor mentee with this particular full moon. All right. So getting advice, getting some clarity or enlightenment from an older person may be the key to helping you start making those changes and perhaps tweaking what you need to work on. You know, the number 2 has a lot to do with intuition, right? And, you know, as you get older and wiser, presumably you learn to focus more on your intuition, to allow yourself to be led by your intuition, right? And so having that perspective from someone perhaps who's older and wiser is actually a really good thing to do under this full moon, okay? It really sort of ties into the energy really well. But there's just, you know, what just came to mind, I'm laughing because if you are West Indian, you will definitely understand what I'm talking about. So have you ever you go to extended family members or people you haven't seen in a while, and let's say you've put on some weight, right? And they will just straight up call you fat. Like they'll be like, oh my gosh, you got so fat. Like thinking that it's a compliment or not realizing that what they're saying can be kind of hurtful. But that's sort of what spirit is sort of telling me about this full moon. Like someone just really just being blunt and honest with you about where you're at right now. Like what's going on with you. Again, to use the whole example of losing weight, like you thought you were doing it and, you know, you look in the mirror and you're like, yeah, this has not been working, or I have not been working, right? That's sort of the energy of this particular full moon, which is pretty interesting, right? But here's the thing. So one of the aspects of this full moon is that it has a sextile to Jupiter. This is important because if you find that this full moon illuminates what you need to work on, it's like if you do the work, like you will undoubtedly be blessed with success, right? This isn't one of those things where you're putting in the work and you're kind of unsure, or you're putting in the work and you're like, I don't know if this is going to happen. It's like, it is almost assured that if you make those changes, if you tweak what needs to be tweaked, if you structure yourself for success, success will be yours. But you have to tap into it. You have to be willing to put in that work, especially because Jupiter is currently in Taurus. Okay. Wait, is it a sextile? Let me see real quick. I was looking at the wrong thing. I'm sorry. It's a trine. It's a trine to Jupiter. So yeah, even better. So if you are willing to put in that work, because Jupiter is in Taurus and Capricorn are both earth signs. Earth signs is about work. It's about being diligent. It's about putting in that work. If you will do that, then you will have success. Now, the success may not come tomorrow. Everything with earth signs always reminds us that everything is kind of a process. It's not the case that everything needs to take an exorbitant amount of time. It's just there's a process to things. And if you're willing to put in that work, then success is assured, right? So again, if you find that this full moon is a situation where you're seeing the reality of where you're at and you're seeing that you need to make some changes, making those changes will be absolutely beneficial for you. So keep that in mind. Let's see what else we have for this particular full moon. It's also opposite Mercury and square to Chiron. So essentially what this means is that you may have difficulty expressing how you feel. On the one hand, you know, there's this element of being analytical and trying to understand things. And on the other hand, it's like feeling things. And you may be feeling like you're vacillating between the two. Okay. And that's perfectly fine. Rather than trying to to get off the seesaw, just decide that you're going to feel however you feel. And that's it. Like, just take time for quiet reflection. Try to, process whatever you're feeling, either logically, but also emotionally. So it's a really important time to journal. It's a really important time to set time aside for yourself in quiet meditation, or just quiet time, whatever you want to do, so that you can try to figure out how you feel, right? Because again, if I'm going back to that example of trying to lose weight, weight is one of those things that goes a lot deeper than just your physical appearance. Weight usually correlates to things that we're holding on to. Okay. It's like once you start losing weight, you start losing a lot of other things too. You start learning a lot more about yourself, uncovering certain things about yourself. And that may be, that's a tough seesaw to be on, especially if you're not someone who's used to really analyzing and sitting in the emotions that you're feeling. So it's really important that you, again, really process what is coming up. Now, especially because, like I said, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn has a lot to do with karma. And so this may be certain things from your past coming back around, coming back up, the effects to whatever you did in the past, which could also elicit an emotional response. So it's really important to don't just shove whatever you're feeling under the rug, or just try not to feel it, right? Because sometimes when these things come up, we tend to be like, oh no, I don't want to feel this. Oh no, I don't want to. And then you just sort of keep stuffing it down and stuffing it down and stuffing it down, right? Don't do that. That's why it's so important to spend quiet reflection time to understand exactly what you're feeling. And this is doubly important because the moon is also going to be square to Chiron. So this is all about our insecurities, our fears, another thing, right? Again, I don't know why this whole weight loss thing is, I guess, the example or the analogy that Spirit is having me run with tonight. So let's say that you've been trying to lose weight, but like I said, you've been slacking on your eating and your exercising. Now, when you sit in quiet reflection, you may realize that you not doing these things is actually a form of self-sabotage, because there's this sort of internal fear that you have when it comes to losing weight, when it comes to the issues surrounding your weight. Maybe you were constantly told that you were fat. Okay. And as much as you're trying to convince yourself now that you can lose the weight, you just keep hearing that voice in the back of your mind that says, oh, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, right? These are some of the things that may come up. Now, it doesn't have to do with just weight loss, obviously. This could have something to do with something that's very personal to you. Maybe whatever you're trying to achieve right now is something that it has come with a lot of emotional baggage. Maybe you've experienced the failure of what you're trying to achieve right now in the past, and those emotions are coming up, right? Those fears are coming up. Saturn is also a planet that has a lot to do with fear. So whatever your fears are with respect to what you've been trying to achieve, these are what may be coming up at this full moon to smack you in the face. And that's not an easy thing to deal with, right? But again, this is why you need to have that quiet time where you need to really process what you are feeling, and not just up here. You got to do it here too. You have to do the emotional work. The thing with emotions, they want to be felt. They have to be felt. So when you stuff them down, it's like emotions are not acting in the way that they are supposed to, right? It's like, as much as you don't want to be afraid of something, as much as you don't want to feel the fear, if you don't feel it now, it's only going to build upon itself and express itself in a much worse way later on. So you kind of have to feel whatever you're feeling so that it can come up, and then it could be let go of, so that it could dissipate, so that it could be released. Okay. So again, feel whatever you're feeling. And again, if you feel like you need to talk to someone, this is the perfect time to get counsel from an elder, talk to a mentor, talk to someone who's been through what you're trying to achieve. Like, I feel like that may be the linchpin to all of this. Like, the clarity, being able to process your emotions, that mentor-mentee sort of undercurrent of energy that I talked about before. I think that's going to be super helpful for this full moon. All right. So that's what we got going on for today. Let's keep it moving. All right. So tomorrow we've got the moon moving into Aquarius. Okay. And so you'll see that at the bottom right hand portion of the chart, the moon is at 0 degrees Aquarius. And it'll also conjunct Pluto, which is at 29 degrees Capricorn, which is currently retrograde. All right. So when the moon is in Aquarius, we kind of feel like we want to break out of the mold. Aquarius energy is very much about improvement and innovation. It's really about thinking about a master plan that's geared toward the future. Now, remember, I said that the moon phases this week are all waning. All three, when the moon is in Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries, it's going to be waning. So this is when we let go of things. When the moon is in Aquarius, we let go of things that are maybe outdated, things that we can improve upon, and we leave room for futuristic kind of things. So a perfect example of this, and I feel like this is a very personal example because this is something that I currently do. Before I found out about ChatGPT, I was doing a lot of the research and writing for like the blog portion of my website, right? But I quickly came to find out that with everything that I'm doing, it's very hard and very time consuming for me to write these blog posts, research these blog posts, write them, etc. So the perfect example of waning moon in Aquarius is the desire for me to just use ChatGPT, this high tech, platform in order to do the writing for me. So I'm improving on what I'm doing with an eye toward the future, because now that frees up a lot more time for me to do other things in my business. Okay. So again, I feel like when the moon is waning in Aquarius, this is when we improve upon things, when we think about a master plan, and when we get rid of what we no longer need. So we make room for the future, and we make room for more futuristic, better operating things. Okay. That's pretty much that with that. And that's all we've got going on Tuesday. All right. So let's keep it moving. All right, so on Thursday, we've got Mercury square Chiron. You will see Mercury at the upper left-hand portion of the chart at 21 degrees Cancer. And Chiron is at 19 degrees Aries. And you'll see that's the middle sort of circle on the right-hand side of the chart. Okay. And then also on Thursday, we've got the moon moving into Pisces. All right, so let's discuss. First up, Mercury square Chiron. So this is a very interesting transit. When I was doing the research for it, it surprised me because I feel like it was speaking very much to me. Okay. So anytime you're talking about Chiron, you're talking about your insecurities, your emotional wounds, things that your Achilles heel basically is what Chiron represents in your natal chart. Okay. So with Mercury square Chiron, and Mercury having a lot to do with our thoughts, this is sort of being conscious of whatever these insecurities are, whatever our Achilles heel is. Now, one of the things that you need to know about Chiron, and that's actually one of the videos that I'll be doing very soon, the mythology of Chiron is very interesting because Chiron was a centaur, half man, half horse. He was super smart. So he had this sort of Achilles heel. So he had this emotional wound. But the thing was, whatever his emotional wound was, he was able to help other people with it. So Chiron is very much a teacher. In understanding what our own insecurities, fears, emotional wounds are, we can then teach other people how to overcome them. When we overcome our wounds, it's like we have the blueprint to help other people overcome theirs. And that's really the essence of Mercury square Chiron. But here's the thing, because Mercury is square Chiron, it's like what I wrote was wanting to speak on and teach about the wounds that you have. What? Wanting to speak on and teach about the wounds that you have yet to heal from. So it's like giving your testimony before it's time. I don't know about you, but when I started doing my inner work, when I started really embarking on my spiritual journey, it's exciting, right? It's not just about what you learn, like the information that you learn. It's what you learn about yourself that's super exciting. And depending on whatever your purpose is or even your personality, you may want to share that with everybody. You may want to just tell the world, this is what I did. This is what I learned, right? But if you haven't really healed yet, then you haven't gained the full lesson. And that's why I say it's giving your testimony before it's time. So this may be a situation where you're realizing that you've come pretty far in terms of what you've healed from, but you still have a little bit to go. So before you start teaching and writing a course and doing all of these things, spend some more time healing. Spend some more time getting to know yourself, right? This isn't necessarily the time to be disseminating what you've learned. You're sort of still, depending on where this is going down in your chart, you're sort of still in the incubation stage where it's really more so about continuing to do the work, continuing to peel back those layers and understand who you are, more so than standing on your soapbox and telling everyone your testimony. Okay. So it's really important. You may feel this urge to want to be like, this is what I do. This is how I did this. And there will be a time for that. Although now may not be the time. This may be a time to, again, still go within and peel those layers. Okay. Now you may find that this is Thursday. This is all going down on Thursday. So Thursday may be an emotional day because not only do we have that going on, right? So sort of, this is on the heels of this full moon in Capricorn, right? Where you're kind of getting a reality check as to where you're at. Then on Thursday or thereabout Thursday, you're like, oh, I still have some work to do. Like I still have some healing to do. And then the moon is going to be moving into Pisces that same day. So this may be a very, it may be an emotional start to the week where you may feel like you're beating yourself up because you're not where you wanted to be. Maybe you thought that you would be healed by now, even though healing is never linear. I've come to realize that as soon as you heal something, it's like there's more work to do. Right? So you may feel like you're being hard on yourself, or maybe other people are being hard on you because you haven't achieved what you wanted to achieve. Then it's like you understand that, there's still more of this wound to heal from or learn from, right? Then with the moon in Pisces, like you may really feel the need to escape. Pisces is the great escape artist, right? And when we're feeling too much, just like the fish that are the symbol for Pisces, the fish just want to swim away. They don't want to deal with it. They want to escape. Whenever the moon is in Pisces, we kind of don't want to face reality. We kind of just want to hide under the covers. We want to act like it doesn't exist. We want to escape via addictive behaviors like drugs, alcohol, food even, depending. And so you sort of have to resist that urge. But here's the thing. When you get to the point where you want to escape, that's when you surrender. So all of this buildup from the full moon up until Thursday with Mercury square Chiron, the moon in Pisces is great to just be like, you know what? I surrender this. Like, I know what work I have to do. I'm not going to beat myself up for it. I surrender. I'm allowing spirit, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it. I'm allowing them in so they can help me with this. The one thing about moon in Pisces is that it reminds us that we are not alone. It reminds us that, there's a higher power out there that is always with us, always helping us, that we can always tap into, right? So again, the moon is going to be waning in Pisces. So this is about letting go of things, and especially emotionally, especially whatever is uncovered at this full moon, right? Let it go, surrender. You don't have to hold on to, your old story. You don't have to hold on to the fear. You don't have to hold on to this insecurity. You can let that go. And the moon in Pisces is going to help you with that. And when you let go, it leaves room for spirit, the universe, God to really come in and co-create with you. Okay. So keep that in mind and try your best not to just escape. Try your best not to just shove things under the rug. Feel whatever you're feeling. Perhaps get some advice from a trusted advisor, elder or mentor, and meditate, pray, talk to your higher self, just sit quietly, journal, do whatever. Like, I feel like that's sort of the best way to get through some of this stuff that, we're going through this week. All right. So that is Thursday. Let's see what we've got going on for Friday. All right, so on Friday, we've got Mercury in Cancer, which is going to be sextile to Uranus in Taurus. So you'll see Uranus at the bottom left-hand corner of the chart, and then you will see Mercury somewhat conjunct the Sun at the bottom right-hand portion of the chart, all right? Mercury sextile Uranus. I like this energy going into the weekend because it is full of surprises, exciting news, stimulating conversation. It's a great way to sort of shake you out of whatever the beginning of the week sort of brings you, right? I feel like what we may be working with between today and Thursday, may be a little heavy, maybe a little emotional. And I feel like on Friday, we're able to sort of shake it off a bit and engage in something new. So whenever you have Uranus in the mix, it's all about expecting the unexpected. It's all about deviating from your normal routine and experiencing something new and exciting. It can also be Spirit's way, the universe's way, God's way of sort of shaking things up in your life, sort of shifting things around, right? If you feel like you want to do something different, do it. Your intuition will likely be lit, okay? Like, this is one of those transits where your intuition gets really loud. And so if you find that you want to do something different, you want to go someplace different, you want to talk to different people, get a different perspective on things, definitely do so, okay? This is one of those transits where your dreams are going to be lit. I don't know about you, but just lately dreams have been lit, period. But under this transit, your dreams are going to be lit. Your intuition is going to be super sharp. You're going to have flashes of insight, aha moments. Keep your ears and eyes open because whatever is happening that's out of the ordinary is likely a clue as to what is coming. It could be a clue as to what you need to know, what you need to learn. So again, keep your ears and eyes open. It also allows you to see things from a different perspective. It gives you a different vantage point, which enhances your knowledge. All right. So again, don't shy away from anything that's different, especially if your intuition is like sort of calling you or pulling you to do so. All right. And it's also just a great transit to socialize. Like, it's happening on a Friday. It's the summertime. Go for, a drink, go hang out with people, meet new people, talk to different people. Like, this is one of those transits that is amazing for that. So it's a nice way to sort of wind down from everything else that's been going on this week. And it'll give you, a different perspective. It'll give you a different vibe, which will probably make you feel pretty good. So I would suggest that you take advantage of this by, again, socializing, meeting new people, talking to new people, and getting a new perspective on things. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, and then on Saturday, we have the moon moving into Aries, and you'll see that at the bottom right-hand portion of the chart. And it will, before it gets into Aries, it is going to cross over Neptune, which is in Pisces and which is retrograde right now, right? So remember I said before, the moon is in the waning phase, which means it's all about getting rid of what we no longer need. Now, all of the heaviness, the emotional heaviness that we may be feeling at the beginning part of the week, I feel like once the moon gets to Neptune in Pisces, right before it gets to Aries, this is really going to have you seeing the bigger picture. And I like this because sometimes whenever we're healing or whenever we're dealing with certain things, we tend to get caught up in the details. We tend to get caught up in the day-to-day of what we're feeling, the reality of what we're feeling. And when the moon conjuncts Neptune and ultimately crosses over it, it's like we see the bigger picture. We understand why what's happening is happening, or we understand what needs to be done in order to achieve that bigger picture, achieve that bigger goal. So it's not just you being hard on yourself for what you haven't done, or realizing that you have more like healing work to do, right? It's understanding why those things are happening, what part those things play in the overall bigger picture. And then as soon as the moon conjuncts Neptune and then crosses into Aries, remember I said before, it's like you have a backpack full of bricks. And those bricks could be emotional baggage. It could be fears. It could be insecurities. And I feel like in the beginning of the week, you're sort of examining what's in that backpack. You're going through it. You may even be putting it back on. But then once the moon gets into Aries, I feel like you're just like, yo, let me take this shit off because this shit is too heavy. Aries is all about moving forward. It's all about doing something new. It's almost like, fuck whatever I was thinking. Fuck whatever these emotions are. Like, I know I can heal myself. I know that I can get over this hump. I know that I can make these changes and achieve what I want to achieve. And Aries is going to light a fire under your ass to not only take off that backpack of bricks, but start moving forward. Start taking physical action in order to achieve those things. So I want to paint this picture of what this week looks like. We're starting off the week a little heavy, right? We've got this sort of we're doing some emotional cleanup. Some of us may be confronting some emotions, some things that are not necessarily pleasant, but that we need to if we want to achieve what we want to achieve. We may be understanding that although we have a testimony, we're not quite there yet to start teaching it. So the beginning of the week, like I said before, it's really about examining a lot of these things that are coming up. Then slowly by Friday, we're like, okay, we can kind of shake this off. We have a little reprieve with Mercury sextile Uranus. We're sort of stepping out of our comfort zone. We're leaving behind some of the stuff the heaviness that we've sort of been trudging through earlier in the week. And now by Saturday, we're like, listen, it's time to move forward. It's time to move forward. It's time to let go of this baggage, this emotional baggage. Like, this moon in Aries is going to be all about releasing, especially if what you've been working through makes you angry or it makes you frustrated, right? Aries is all about releasing anger. It's all about releasing pent up aggression, pent up emotion. Right? So definitely over the weekend, if you found that this week has been heavy, if you found that this week has been very emotional, definitely when the moon is in Aries, like engage in physical activity, do some sports, do some exercise, weight training, whatever it is, like that will help dispel some of this energy that, has been building up or that has bubbled up to the surface. Okay. So it's really important that you, be able to drop it, because sometimes what ends up happening is that when these things come up, we tend to start living in them. And we get on this hamster wheel of constantly feeling like we need to heal, constantly feeling like we need to heal. So don't get me wrong, healing is not linear. It's not like you go from A to B in one shot. It's more like a spiral, but an upward spiral. So although you may not be completely healed, you get a little more healthy as time goes on, as you keep doing that work, right? But it's important to release it. Don't hold on to whatever you're feeling. You don't have to live in that emotion forever. You can drop it, okay? And I feel like the moon in Aries really allows us to do that, okay? So again, engage in physical activity and please, like whatever you're holding on to, drop that book bag of bricks, okay? Just drop it because that will allow you to move forward faster, right? You can move forward with the backpack full of bricks, but you know how slow and how arduous that's going to be? You don't want that. Put down the backpack and start moving forward. All right. That's what we got going on for Saturday. Let's keep it moving. All right. And then we close out the week on Sunday with Mercury trine Neptune. So Mercury is currently in Cancer. That's at the top hand portion of the chart. And Neptune is currently in Pisces. So this is at the bottom right hand portion of the chart. Now, trines are effortless energy. It's sort of things flow together. And I say flow intentionally because both planets are in water signs. So this is seeing the bigger picture. This is messages from above. This is intuitive insight, spiritual insight, creativity, imagination. So again, let's continue this story that I've been talking about, right? What this week is looking like. So the first part, I think I've mentioned this ad nauseum. It's like we're dealing with certain things, insecurities, fears, shortcomings, all of that stuff. Then we feel a shift in the energy come the weekend, right? Then Moon is in Aries. We're dropping that backpack of bricks and we're moving forward. And in doing so, Mercury trine Neptune, this is when Spirit comes in and really starts to co-create with us. This is when our dreams are hella lit, when we're getting downloads, channelings, and messages. This is when our creativity and our imagination is like on 100, right? Remember I said when the moon is going to conjunct Neptune right before it gets to Aries, it's seeing the bigger picture. This is where your imagination comes in. It's like in 1 week, the astrology of this week, in 1 week, we learn what we need to work on, realize what we need to heal. We process it, drop it, move forward, and use our imagination to pave the way forward. Does that make sense? I'm going to repeat that again. So in the span of 1 week, the way that the astrology is set up, we are seeing what we need to work on, seeing what we need to heal. We are processing these things. We are letting them go. And then we are leaving room for Spirit to co-create with us as we use our imagination to pave the way forward. That is this week in a nutshell. That could literally be every week in a nutshell, right? However, because of the way that the astrology is set up, it's like the universe is handing this to us on a silver platter. It's like, here, you all need a reset. Y'all need to do some work. And it's not just doing work for no reason. Like, we're getting you to move forward, but we're getting you to move forward lighter. You're not going to be carrying all this baggage. You're not going to be experiencing things the same way you did before because you're healing from them now, because you're becoming aware of them now. They're being pointed out to you. You're doing the work, and now you're able to clear space so that you can use your imagination for what it is intended to be used for, which is creation. You're meant to use your imagination to create. Imagination equals creation. But it's kind of hard to do that when you've got wounds, when you've got insecurities, when you've got fears, right? Those things literally stand in the way of achieving those things, of creating. And what just came to me right now is that Capricorn represents obstacles. So if you find that under this full moon, you feel like you've hit a brick wall, good. Because now you're aware of what your obstacle is. And when you're aware of what your obstacle is, when you're aware of what stands in your way, you can decimate it. And in doing so, you leave room for your imagination, which is creation. Right? So Mercury trine Neptune, increased empathy, increased compassion, increased telepathy, just an increase in all of those things. But most importantly, the best use of the energy from this transit is to use your imagination. And if you've done the work, if you've been following what I've been saying about the astrology for this week, and you've been diligent about doing the work, what did I say before? Because the full moon is going to be trine to Jupiter. If you do the work, success is assured, like hands down. If you do that, come next week, you will find it much easier to start manifesting things because you've been able to rid yourself of those insecurities, of those fears. You've hit that brick wall and you've decimated it. And now you've got the room to use your imagination as it's intended. That is the essence of what this week holds. Okay. Let's see. Anything else about Mercury trine Neptune? Again, it's just seeing the bigger picture. It's just, using your imagination. That's the essence of it. All right. So yeah, we've got a pretty powerful week. Like I said, this full moon is pretty powerful. It has a lot of potential to, like I said, decimate the obstacles that are in your way, which could be your insecurities, your fears, all of those things. All right. So now let us get into the messages from Spirit. Okay, so interestingly enough, when I was, I do that countdown, that 10-minute countdown when I start the live, and I was told to look at the deck, and I instantly got this message. Things are being alchemized right now. I don't know about you, but I know definitely I felt like, I don't want to say doubtful, but I did feel like, things seem to be taking a while. Things seem to be slow. I feel like I've personally hit a brick wall, that same brick wall I was just talking about. And Spirit is like, things are being alchemized right now. And rather than focus on what isn't working, what you don't have, turn that attention inward. Doing the work that I just spoke about, freeing yourself up to really using your imagination, persisting, right? It's not just saying, oh, I don't see this thing yet. I haven't reached the finish line yet. You still have a ways to go. So you still have to persist. However, assistance is here for you, which will result in a successful conclusion. Like, this is what the cards that sort of fell out. This is what I've been told. So again, if you feel like you've hit a brick wall, if you feel like, I don't know, I've been working at this thing for so long and it's not happening yet, or being frustrated or angry because you don't have the thing that you want, try not to live in those emotions, but turn that inward. Do the work that needs to be done on yourself. And it's like, I'm being shown like someone literally coming to help you. So let's say you've been trying to save money and you haven't been able to save money at all. Maybe someone, maybe you get financial assistance for something. So rather than having to pay for something out of your own pocket, you're able to sort of save that money. Or maybe, going back to this weight loss thing, maybe when you first started losing weight, like nobody wanted to come to the gym with you, like you really felt like you were on this journey alone. And now finally, maybe you have a gym buddy or you have an accountability partner. I feel like the assistance, it's not just assistance from above. I feel like we're actually going to be getting assistance from actual people. So again, if you feel like you hit that brick wall, if you're doing that work, assistance will definitely come in for you. All right. To just be open and receptive to it. All right. So of course, I'm going to be pulling cards from Spirit. I do these by sign. However, as you know, whatever message resonates with you, whether it's your sun, your rising, your moon, whatever, who cares? If the message resonates with you, it resonates. So take it. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. All right. So as always, we start with Aries. Let's see what we have for Aries for this week. All right, Aries, we've got the Page of Pentacles. You guys are learning something new this week. I'm not even going to say it's something new. You're looking at something that you already have through the eyes of appreciation. It's almost like, how you'll go shopping and you'll buy a bunch of clothes and they end up sitting in the closet for a while, tags still on them and everything. And then months later, like you're going out and you're like, oh, let me try to find something to wear. And you go in your closet and you're like, oh, I didn't even know I had this and it's brand new. Like, that's what I feel like you're rediscovering something and it's more valuable to you this time around. Okay. Like, look at how he's looking at that coin. He's like, wow, this is great. Like, that's exactly sort of like how you feel right now. Like, you're rediscovering something that you have and it's a lot more valuable to you. Okay. Oh, you also have two. Okay. You also have the Knight of Pentacles. So then it's almost like you're taking this thing and you're running with it. In the example that I gave, it's like you're literally putting on the outfit and going out, right? That's you on the horse with this thing and you're going, right? But this could also be using this thing. This thing may have been sitting around your house collecting dust, but it's useful to you now. There's something about putting it to use, making it work, that's going to be very lucrative for you. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Next up, we've got Taurus. Let's see what we've got for Taurus for this week. Okay. You've got two cards as well. You've got the Ace of Swords, and you've got the Two of Pentacles. All right, Taurus. So it looks like you're finally making a decision. It looks like you've been sort of vacillating between two things. You've had two different options, and it's like this is sort of coming in to cut this string right here and sort of make you decide. So I feel like, Taurus, you are actually making an important decision right now between two things. There's one that is more, I'm getting practical. Like there's one that just makes more logical sense. And so that's probably what you're going to gravitate toward. But I get the sense that you've probably been vacillating between two things for a while. And I'm hearing only you know what these two things are. So I can't even give an example of what these two things may be. Although there may be an emotional connection, or both of these things may be of an emotional nature, because if you look, you'll see the ocean behind him, right? And you see like a big ship over here and a little ship over here. Like there's one that's more valuable, or there's one option that like you're more emotional about or more emotionally tied to. And I feel like you're finally about to make a decision about this. And I feel like it's a good thing. I feel like you feel good about this. I don't feel like you're like, oh, I could have this, or I don't want to make this decision because it's going to, whatever. Like, I feel like you feel good about this. So this week, you're probably making a decision about something, and I think you feel pretty good about it. Okay. All right. Next up, we have Gemini. Let's see what we have for Gemini for this week. All right, Gemini, you have one card, and you've got the Nine of Wands. So there is a lesson that you are learning right now, or there is an obstacle that you are working through. And I get this sense that it's kind of had you, like you've been beat up. It's almost like you've been running this race for a while, and this race, it's been like an obstacle course. Like you've had to trudge through mud. You've had to hop over hurdles. You might have had to jump through hoops that were on fire, and you are tired and you feel like you've been run ragged. But Spirit is like, you still have a little bit to go. There's still more of this lesson that you need to learn, right? It's almost like, like when you're in high school and it's senior year and it's like the last week of school, and you've had finals for like the last 2 weeks, and you're down to your last final, and you're just like, oh, I just want this to be over so I can graduate, right? That's where you are, Gemini. Like you're about to graduate, but you have like one more test to take. Okay. One more test to take. So keep studying, be persistent, right? Be persistent, be diligent. Like, if you've ever run track or anything like that, when you're nearing the finish line is when you push the hardest. And Spirit is saying that this is a time right now for you to push really hard because you are almost at the finish line, but there's still some things for you to learn. And just like I was saying before, with Mercury square Chiron, this isn't the time for you to teach your testimony. This isn't your time for you to tell your testimony because you're not quite at the finish line yet. All right. So keep your head down, keep learning, keep persisting, and focus your energy on finishing the race. Okay. Next up, we've got Cancer. Let's see what we have for Cancer for this week. All right, Cancer, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. So things are starting to move in your favor. I get the sense that for many of you, the last couple of months, like this card is not indicative of what's going on this week. I think it's a continuation of what's been going on over the last couple of months. I feel like the last couple of months, what I'm being shown now is like, those boats, those paddle wheel boats. It's almost like your paddle wheel boat was dormant for a while. It was not operational. And over the last couple of months, it's almost like the crew has been cleaning the boat. They've been oiling the engine or whatever the hell you do with an engine. And they've been turning on the turbines. And now the wheel is starting to turn and your paddle boat is starting to move. So you may find that this is a point in your life where things are moving after a period of stagnancy, or it's just like the wheels are finally turning. This could also be the wheels, like your mind. You may feel like you've come to a point where you're thinking clearer, where you're thinking faster, where you're thinking of things and maybe they're manifesting a lot more quickly, but things are in motion for you, Cancer. And so you should enjoy this time. I think it's a very fruitful time for you. I think it's also a very exciting time because I think that again, I feel like the last perhaps couple of months in the recent past, things have been kind of stagnant and dormant. And now things are becoming a little more exciting because there's movement in your life. All right. So definitely enjoy it. All right. That was Cancer. So now we are up to, Now we are up to Leo. Let's see what we've got going on for Leo for this week. Oh, okay, Leo. We've got the 9 of Cups. So you guys are feeling fulfilled. There may be something that you really wanted that you finally have. You know how I was saying before that this full moon in Capricorn for some may be time to pop the champagne and celebrate. I think for a good majority of Leos, that is you. You guys are celebrating. You guys are content. You're finally getting something that you've worked toward. You're finally emotionally fulfilled. So congratulations. Enjoy it. You most definitely earned it. Okay. Next up, we've got Virgo. Let's see what we have for Virgo for this week. All right, Virgo. We've got the 8 of Swords. You guys are, so you know how I said Mercury, trine, Neptune? It allows you to see the bigger picture. I feel like you guys can see the bigger picture, but there is a portion of the bigger picture that you are just completely obsessed with. Like the 8 of Swords denotes, like, you see how she's tied up. It's like this bondage. It's this obsession. It's this being stuck on something, especially mentally. So I feel like you guys are definitely stuck on a portion of the bigger picture. And Spirit wants you to know that I'm getting the sense that this energy, this being stuck on this portion of the bigger picture, is because you feel like it requires the most work. Like, of all the things that need to be worked on, this one thing may require more work, or it's this one thing that you feel like is impossible. So you need to devote all of your mental strength to it. And Spirit is like, no, you don't have to hold on so tightly to this one thing. Rather than focusing on a portion of the big picture, you need to broaden your purview. I'm hearing you need to, like, what you're looking at. You need to broaden that and look at the entire big picture. Everything deserves part of your mental energy and your mental focus, not just this one thing. So don't hold on so tightly to this one thing. Don't obsess over this one thing. Broaden your horizons, broaden your view, broaden your vantage point, and think about everything. Like, Spirit is telling me, like, okay, you are overly focused on, for example, money. All you think about is money, manifesting money, how to make money, how to save money, how to invest, all this shit, right? Because to you, you feel like that's the hardest thing for you. And so you devote all of your mental focus to it. Meanwhile, you're not paying attention to your family. You're not paying attention to your relationships. You're not paying attention to your health. Like, you need to think about all of these things and give all of these things mental focus and energy and attention. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. All right. Next up, we've got Libra. Let's see what we've got for Libra. All right, Libra, we've got the 2 of Wands. Libra, the world is literally yours, and that's how you feel right now. Some of you, I get the sense that you feel that because you guys, of all the work I talked about before, some of you guys have really conquered some of your fears, your insecurities, your Achilles heel, right? And you're like, damn, if I can do that, there is no telling what I can do. Right? So you guys are feeling good. You guys are feeling optimistic. You literally feel like the world is yours. And Spirit is like, keep that same energy. Keep that same energy going forward, because it is that energy that's going to allow you to have more, that's going to bring more to you. When you have an expansive, when you feel expansive, when you feel like the world is yours, you leave room for everything to come in, everything that you want. So if you're feeling good right now, Spirit is like, keep that same energy, because literally the world is yours. right? You have the power to have whatever you want. You have the power to be, do, and have whatever you want. And so Spirit wants you to stay in that energy for the foreseeable future. Okay. All right. That was Libra. So now we are up to Scorpio. Let's see what we have for Scorpio. All right, Scorpio, we have the Queen of Swords. Scorpio, you are extremely clear on a particular situation. And it's almost like you're saying to someone, listen, I said what I said. Like you're not mincing your words. You're not beating around the bush. You are literally saying, listen, this is what I'm saying. Like, look, this is literally what I'm saying. This is my decision. This is my position on this. This is my stance on this. And that's it. There's no way that you can convince me otherwise. I don't care what you have to say. Like, you're very decisive and you're very vocal about your decisiveness. And Spirit is like, yes. It's almost like Spirit is clapping like, yes, finally. Like this could be a situation where in the past you were unclear. You were either on the fence or you were not vocal enough about what you wanted. And I feel like you've come to a juncture where you are very vocal and decisive about what it is that you want. So Spirit is like, exercise that throat chakra, say what's on your chest, speak your piece, and let that be that. Okay? All right. Next up, we've got Sagittarius. Let's see what we have for Sagittarius for this week. All right, Sag, we've got the moon. You guys are swimming in the waters of your emotions this week. So, Sagittarius, I feel like this is going to be an emotional week for you. I feel like you may confront some of your biggest fears or biggest insecurities. And seriously, you share the same planetary ruler as Pisces. And so Spirit is like, as rough as this may be, it's necessary for you to heal, number one. And number two, try your best not to engage in any addictive behavior. So no drugs, no alcohol, anything that takes you from reality. Try not to engage in those things because at this point in time, you are really meant to feel what you feel so that you can understand what you feel and so that you can heal yourself. Okay. So it's extremely important that you allow yourself to feel whatever comes up. Don't shove it under the rug. Don't try to escape from it. Just feel it. Allow the waters of your emotions to wash over you. And in doing so, that's how you'll release them. So some of you may be crying this week. You may have a good cry. You may feel like you need a good cry. And if you do, just cry, let it out, release. Okay. So again, I feel like it may be an emotional week for you, but also very eye-opening. Next up, we've got Capricorn. Let's see what we have for Capricorn for you for this week. You've got two. First card up is the Hanged Man. And second is the Four of Swords. Capricorn, you guys are taking a time out this week. Especially if you are a Capricorn rising, this full moon is going down in your first house. So again, this may be a full moon that's very introspective for you, that you find that you're really dealing with some of your shit this week. And so I feel like this is a week where you're kind of gracefully bowing out. You're like, listen, you might be sleeping more, number one. You might just be withdrawing, or you really might be intentional about doing the healing work. So you may just be sort of sequestering yourself at home, journaling, doing all of that stuff. What's interesting is that, and this is just a general message I'm getting for everyone, there's something about this July 4th that doesn't feel like July 4th. Like it feels like people aren't really, like, I don't sense people really being out there and doing the most. Like there's something about this week that feels a lot more quiet, a lot quieter than normal July 4th. I don't know. That's just a general thing I just got. But for you, Capricorn, I definitely feel like this is going to be a quiet week for you. And I also feel like it's going to be a lot of reflection and also seeing things from a different perspective. So definitely over the weekend, if you have the chance to do something different, if you have the chance to talk to different people, again, you may also want to talk to a mentor or a trusted elder, because I feel like they're going to be able to give you information from a different perspective that you really need right now so that you can heal. But again, I feel like this is going to be a pretty quiet week for you where you're sort of just sleeping or laid back or just really keeping to yourself. Next up, we've got Aquarius. Let's see what we have for Aquarius. we've got the Five of Swords. Aquarius, you guys are also making a decision and you don't give a fuck who it hurts, who doesn't like it. I feel like you are going balls to the wall. Like, okay, this is what I'm fighting for. This is what I stand for. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care if you're crying about it. Like, there's something about you putting yourself first. I feel like if you look at this card, you know, the guy in the foreground, he was in a battle with the guys in the back. And the guys in the back are walking away defeated. And this guy has 3 swords, like he won. It's like you're finally putting yourself first. And you don't care who it hurts, who it aggravates. Like, you are really taking care of you. You're speaking your piece. You're exercising your throat chakra. And you feel good about it. Right? Because I feel like for some, you've been receiving the short end of the stick. Or people have been trying to cut you down. Or limit you in a certain way. And I feel like this week that ends. I feel like this week you finally find your voice. And again, you don't care who's hurt, who don't like it. You're really putting yourself first. Okay. And then finally, last but not least, we've got Pisces. Oops. All right. Let's see what we have for Pisces. Ooh, Pisces, your cards are flying all over the place. Okay, let's try this again. Last but not least, Pisces. Okay, there we go. All right, Pisces, you have the 8 of Cups. So you guys are definitely walking away from something. There is this element of I'm done. This no longer serves me. Or it's almost like, on the one hand, I get that, right? Like, I'm done with this. This no longer serves me. But there is this element of curiosity, especially when it comes to things of an emotional nature. Like, you're curious as to what's on the other side. You're curious with respect to, okay, if I try this out, if I engage with this person, if I apply for this thing, like, what could really happen? You are being led by your curiosity right now. And your curiosity seems to be leading you in the exact opposite direction of what you've been used to. So your curiosity is like, I've been there, done that. I don't like this. It's not working for me anymore, but I've never tried this before. Let's see. Again, I don't know why I keep getting these weight loss things, but it's like, you know, I've been doing cardio for 10 years. Why don't I try lifting weights? I wonder what would happen if I do this. Or I've always dated this kind of person. I've always had this type. What if I try dating the exact opposite? Like, what would happen then? So you guys are being led by your curiosity. And I think that you find it kind of exciting. And I think that you are willing to indulge your curiosity. And Spirit is saying that you should. It's time to experience something new. And now's the perfect time for that. All right, my loves. So that concludes this week's edition of the Weekly Astro Forecast. I sincerely hope that you were able to get at least one important piece of information that you can use going into this next week. All right. If you want to know more about my products and services, all of those links are in the description box below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Happy full moon in Capricorn. Have an amazing week, and I will see you in my next video. All right, my loves. Take care.